Hey, what's up, everyone? Eric here. And in today's video, we're going to be visiting the cesspool, the gift, the toxic gift that keeps on giving, and that is Twitter/X. Okay. So last night I was at work, kind of scrolling through Twitter. I found a really dumb take. I commented on it, I retweeted it and commented on it. I woke up today and had a few really interesting responses. Apparently, a lot of men are mad at me for calling out a bad take. This is about the Marvels, and it's kind of about women in media in general, but it is about the Marvels. That is what started all of this. We're going to go through the motions. I have a very simple question that is yet to be answered. Actually, a few simple questions that have yet to be answered. But let's take a look at the tweet that started it all on my account. Okay. Here we go. Actually, let's make this bigger. All right. So this is from Chris Gore. Chris Gore has been slowly heading to the dark side for a while now. And maybe always was like this. I don't know. He kind of just popped up on the radar about a year ago, kind of really getting involved with all of it. I don't know Chris Gore enough to label him as something. I want to make that very clear here. I don't know him enough to label him as something. But you don't have to be labeled as something to make particular statements. And I'll explain that here in a second. It'll make sense to you guys when you see what I said about his statement here. All right, so it says, Chris says, in response to the Marvels underperforming, turning Marvel and Star Wars into girl brands will prove to be one of the costliest decisions in the entertainment industry. So there's this idea that Marvel as a brand, as a whole, and she's not very specific here. I'm assuming he means Marvel movies, but we're going to talk about Marvel as a brand, as a whole thing. That Marvel as a brand has only pandered to men. That's all they've done in their entire existence is pandered to men, which is absolutely false. It's just not a true statement. Marvel has a very diverse roster of comic books and properties that date far beyond what we have now. So right away, just disingenuous, okay? But if we're talking about Marvel movies specifically, I have a question. And my question is, when it comes to women in these movies, or any of the fandom movies, we're talking about Star Wars as well, why is it having a woman as a lead character automatically, why does that make it a girl brand? Why is that? This is coming from the group that doesn't like labels. This community doesn't like labels. So why is it putting a woman in a lead role in a property, making a story about a woman, something along those lines? Why does that make it automatically girl brand, women's brand? Why does it do that? You mean to tell me that these kinds of movies don't relate for men, that men can't go see them? Is that what you're saying? Because it's a very dangerous statement, Chris. And I'm going to tell you why here in a second. Women in movies it's been a thing for a very long time. Women-led movies have been a thing for a very long time. We've talked about this. This is something this community brings up quite often, is that there's always been women in lead roles, right? There's just something wrong with the modern movies with women in lead roles. I wonder what that is. I wonder if the problem is all the people making these different projects or one particular community of people. I wonder what the problem is. Anyway, getting back to the statement about women. So if you're saying that women-led movies are girl brands and they're only for women, does that mean that movies with black leads in it are only for black people? Or that movies with gay characters in lead roles, those are only for gay people? Trans people, whatever it is, just assign any of those things. Because if you're saying that, then you are admitting that you believe that movies with straight white men in the lead roles are pandering and catered to and only made for straight white men. Because you're always like, oh, anybody can come see these movies. They're for everybody. So why can't these movies be for everybody? Why are these movies in your community pigeonholed as only for a particular demographic when it is not led by a man, when it's not led by a straight person, a white person? Why is that? What is the reason for that? Can't movies with women in leads be for everybody? Why does it have to be a girl brand? Why do we need that label on it? That doesn't make any sense to me. It just doesn't. So I've asked this question, why do men, specifically straight men, not want to see women in movies? What is the reason for that? What reason is it that you don't want to see powerful women in movies? What is the like? I'm trying to wrap my head around this, and I honestly want an answer that makes sense. And don't tell me bad writing, because you can't tell me that every movie in the last 20 years with women in lead roles has been bad writing. Bullshit. Bullshit. Not true. So why is it that you don't want to see women in lead roles in powerful positions in movies? Why is that? Okay. That's the big question. So then I went on to respond to this by calling it as I see it for what it is. Misogyny just on full fucking display. Now, I want to be clear here. There's a lot of hyperbolic takes, straw man arguments happening under my post. Saying someone did something misogynistic is not saying they are a misogynist. Could they be? Yes, absolutely. He absolutely could be. I don't know him well enough to know that. But you can still say something that is misogynistic, just like a smart person can say something very stupid, just like a person that is not racist might say something that is racist and they have to get called out on it. So saying something misogynistic doesn't make someone a misogynist, especially when I don't know enough about him to make that statement. But this particular tweet is misogynistic because it is saying that women are bad for business. It is a very broad stroke. It's a huge generalization. It's misogynistic. And the fact that no one below this that's arguing this has given a good answer for why women shouldn't be in lead roles in these kinds of movies other than, oh, comic books are for boys. That is just a dumb fucking take. So let's move over to a response to this that kind of spurred this tweet to blow up. And this one is from Ethan Van Sciver. It's a lot to unpack here, so let's go through this. Ethan says, the Force's female crowd seems to believe that women were being excluded from liking Star Wars and Marvel comics for decades. No, we don't believe that. We don't believe that. That is the framing of the argument. Women are bad for business, i.e., women don't come and watch our stuff. We don't want women in lead roles. It's a cycle. That's the framing that you're making. My argument is that women have always gone and loved these kinds of things. So adding women in lead roles isn't necessarily just courting women. That is the argument. Guys, women are allowed to like Star Wars and Spider-Man. They simply don't. A tiny, tiny percentage of females are interested in heroic space wizards with lasers and sword fantasy, and their money was always welcome. That's just reality. So what? So what? What if that was the case? What if things are changing? What if Marvel and other brands want to explore other demographics? If they want to do that, they are allowed to do that. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. But here, the argument you're making is that having white men as lead characters, we should just keep doing that because everyone is welcome in. But then if women are leads in movies, you're saying that that is specifically catering to women and no one else is allowed to go see it. That's the flip side of that. That's the argument that's being made. And if that's not what you're saying, then I don't understand. I don't understand. If Star Wars as a male-led franchise or any of these superhero movies that are male-led are made so that women can come in and see them if they want, anyone can come in and see them if they want, then why can't the same be said for a woman in a lead role? Why do men, straight men, not want to see women in lead roles where they're very powerful? Please explain this to me. I would really like to know. He goes on to say, we don't hate women. He puts that in all caps for pointing that out. We love women. The vast majority of them don't understand our nerdy power. Citation on that. That's conjecture. That's conjecture. By changing Marvel and Star Wars in an attempt to appeal to more women, they have lost a good portion of their male audience in the process. Because what, men hate women? Please explain to me how that makes any sense, Ethan. Why is it putting more women in movies for straight men to see? If you don't hate women, why do you not want to see that? Why? Why is that? Even if they were doing it as an attempt to bring more women into the movie theaters to see them, why is it that straight men don't want to see women? Please explain that to me. That is what I want to know. What is the reason why? If you love women, why don't you want to see more women? Why? And then he says this, adding more bland lesbians of color with shaved heads who are amazing to Marvel and Star Wars failed. Let's accept that and move forward. What Marvel movie has a bland lesbian of color with a shaved head? And what movie are you talking about? What magical property is that? I'm trying to remember what movie that is. What movie had a bland lesbian of color with a shaved head as the lead? Which one? Because you can't nail the argument without creating something that doesn't exist here. I don't remember that movie. I don't remember that. So what movie is that? Movies I remember are simply having women of different types in lead roles. We're talking specifically about the Marvels. We're talking about Carol Danvers, Monica Rambeau, and Kamala Khan. Two of those three characters have been around in comics longer than most of the people arguing have been alive. Carol Danvers has been around since the 60s. Monica Rambeau has been around since the 80s, the early 80s. The newest character is Kamala Khan, who has a massive fan base in the younger audience demographic. So please explain to me how including two of the three characters who have been in comics since the 60s and the 80s is changing the movies to be for women. If those characters have existed since that period and they're including them in media now, just like they've included older characters like Iron Man and Captain America and the Hulk and stuff, if they're including them now, why is it now that's a problem? Why is it a problem now that we're including classic comic book characters in media? It's because they're women. That is why. That is what this all leads back to, which goes back to my statement that feeling that way about this and acting out this way can be seen as misogynistic. Because we're not arguing about the quality of the stories. We're not arguing about the nuance of these films or these TV shows. We're simply like, women are in it, it's bad. That is misogyny. Period. That's what that is. Where are the arguments about the quality of the content? I keep hearing people say it sucks or the writing's bad, some nebulous statement that doesn't really talk about the nuance of these movies or these TV shows. It always comes down to catering to women, having women in roles, blah, blah, blah equals bad. That is misogyny.